how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that.
Let's look at the priorities of the current administration. Here's CNN questioning the pronunciation of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. I do like to say people's names correctly, just as a matter of politeness, actually. But is it as important as the other subject that is being discussed? Let's have a look.
You know what I can say, Jim? I can say that 13,099 murderers were let into this country, 16,000 rapists, 425,000 people.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
People in the last 4 years have been let into this country by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's own Customs and Border Protection that are running around this country, Jim.
The other thing, too, it's Kamala Harris. I don't know. Why do you guys say Kamala? That is... It's Kamala Harris.
Jim, we know that they're committing crimes against Americans. Why can't these individuals talk about the individuals who've been killed by illegal immigrants? 13,099 murderers have been let into this country by this administration's own accounting, and you guys don't want to talk about it.
That is pretty funny. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. I'd be Kamala Harris. Was it 500 rapists, 2,000 murderers? Kamala Harris. Focus on what's important in the world. I suppose, the reason that's enjoyable is because it shows what the priorities are. And priorities is going to be a big theme of today's stream. All of you watching us in Rumble, all of you watching us in Locals, those of you that are still with us on YouTube, remember, turn on the notification bell if you're watching this on YouTube, because the algorithm will direct you towards corporate media. Of course, it has to do that. They believe they're doing the right thing. They believe they're doing the right thing when they're protecting you from hate speech, as they would call it. They believe they're doing the right thing when they paste over your mind and shellac your consciousn's with false narratives. They believe they're helping you. That's what's extraordinary about it. Okay, let's have a look at again, this is a story that's ultimately about branding. Chris Cuomo, and again, I'm not sure I'm saying his name right, is talking about Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, and what seemed like rumours that he assaulted his partner. I don't know if they're rumours or I don't know if it's been proven, because I've not watched this yet. And aren't there rumours as well that he maybe impregnated a nanny? Is that true? I'm not making the claim that is true. It's simply something that I think people have been discussing. And also what's going on in my country with Keir Starmer. All these kind of like odd puritanical moral arbiters have got jangling closets, baby. Dem bones, dem. Let's have a look at what Chris Cuomo is saying about Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff.
If the name were Trump instead of Emhoff, it would be all over the news. Daily Mail, echoed by the New York Post, has a story. Doug Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband, accused of striking a woman he was on a date with at the Cannes Film Festival back in 2012. They had been drinking, and he didn't like how she talked to the valet. He smacked her. She smacked him back.
You do not talk to a valet in Cannes like that!
You do not get very often people coming forward named, and the reason is they're worried about retaliation. These are very powerful people we're talking about. 3 friends all saying they were told the same thing. 2 of them contemporaneously. This woman, Jane, we're calling her, she called one of the friends immediately after the incident. That's what this friend told me.
Ordinarily, I don't care about these stories. You could say, well, there may have been an assault. Well, she didn't go to the police. He's not really running. But again, if it were Trump or anyone related to him, it would be on every TV show that is on right now.
Media branding and media bias. Which stories are you told and which stories are you not told? What happens when you have vague laws about subjects like hate speech and free speech? If you have vague laws, you can decide which cases you want to prosecute and persecute. That is the nature of lawfare. You will have seen Julian Assange the other day saying that laws were reliable things, almost instantiations of a universal principle. But what Assange said he realised is that they're just pieces of paper that can be used to control the reality in the manner that you want to control reality. Media controls the information sphere. Law controls who can be curtailed, contained, incarcerated, or even killed. Let me know in the comments and chat if you agree with that, baby. Now, one of the things that's very important, and I believe worth contemplating further, is the aspects of reality that are highlighted and the aspects of reality that are concealed. Now, Doug Emhoff, as Chris Cuomo just said then, he's only someone's boyfriend, isn't he, or husband, or whatever it is. I don't know what his relationship to Kamala Harris is. I'm frankly struggle to care less. But what's interesting is to see the legacy media put forward the idea that he's an example of new and emergent masculinity. Firstly, by their own rubric, there oughtn't be a restrictive idea of what a man is, because they would say that you're a man if you say you are one. So that should be a spectrum that includes incredibly masculine men. Think of a cliched truck driver, snarling and covered in stubble, or a man like me, potent, powerful, glorious. But hey, look at me, I've got long hair and I'm wearing what you'd have to ultimately call a blouse. Then, by their analysis, it should include all types of men. But surely there's a certain moral standard, no matter of how you present, that we ought all be held to, the way we treat others. What our conduct is like when we don't believe we're being looked at. With all of these stories about the corruption and cruelty within Hollywood and all of the exploitation there, that doesn't seem to be based on a lapse of morals, but the institution of immoral behaviour. I think it's significant that Jen Psaki said this. We can't continue to bring you this beautiful content without the support of our partners. We've partnered with Gundry MD to share this information with you. In your pantry right now is one of the healthiest foods on the planet. It's olive oil. Stephen Gundry, a famous surgeon and nutrition expert, says you should get as much high quality olive oil into your daily routine as possible. But what kind of olive oil is best for your health? I'm going to tell you now. I don't mean you're just drinking the stuff, glugging it down like a wild animal. We're not crazy. The olive oil industry is huge. How can you tell the difference between an olive oil that's a health booster and one that isn't up to par? A dirty olive oil, a stinking olive oil, fit only for demons. Well, Dr. Gundry, thankfully, has stepped in and he's released his personal research and his findings, and his video has gone viral ever since. You can watch the video right now by going to getolive1.com/brand or by clicking the link in the description box. That's getolive1.com/brand, or just click the link in the description below. Go to getolive1.com/brand, click on the link. Don't get the wrong type of olive oil. Let's have a look at Jen Psaki's claim that Doug Emhoff is reshaping the perception of masculinity, which is sort of an incredible claim to actually make about anyone. I mean, who would you say that about actually? Like, Jesus, you've reshaped my perception of what it is to be a man. That's an incredible claim.
An interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that?
Yep, you've reshaped masculinity. Before I met Doug Emhoff, I had all these images of a man, especially when they're like weird questions about sort of moral conduct, and now the story that we just see Chris Cuomo produce. So you see how that shows a lack of virtue and morality at the heart of their argument. If Doug Emhoff went out with, Ivanka Trump instead of Kamala Harris, they'd say, this guy is a wife-beaten, nanny-impregnating, weird, weak, milksop, spineless, hiding, cowering behind his woman, intimidated by her. Say, he's going to have Kamala Harris now. He is reshaping our perception of what a penis even is. I used to think it was just for ejaculate and urine, but now I use it to stir my coffee, and it's all thanks to you, Doug Emhoff.
Been an evolution for you, and do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny, I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this, and to me, it's
silly, isn't it? That's a ridiculous burden to place on Doug Emhoff. I'd say, just based on looking at him then, he's like a normal sort of bloke. It's not reshaping my concepts of masculinity at all. My concepts of masculinity must be derived from a higher source than Doug Emhoff, or I might find myself in terrible, terrible, terrible trouble. Our new The Oracle series, our first ever group interviews designed to bring the greatest and most authoritative voices in particular subjects together for the very first time. Robert Malone, Dr. Pierre Corey, and Steve Kirsch.
What we've experienced is a globally deployed psychological bioterrorism playbook. It's well developed.
And then I started to see just global propaganda directed at essentially distorting, dismissing, and suppressing the evidence of efficacy. And I saw it as a crime.
And at that point, I knew that this was not just a coincidence. There were too many black swans over too short a period. I've never heard anything like this story in my life.
They seem to get the human psyche so well when it comes to brainwashing us and propagandizing us to the direction that they want us to go in, that you would think that they would know that pulling all of these various tactics would actually just push support towards Trump, not away from him.
Ryan Ruth, some of his posts even show that he appeared to have been working with, in his own words, the U.S. Embassy in Kiev. He's doing effectively military intelligence, human trafficking of terrorists.
It's in this context that I think Ruth was kind of radicalized. He decided that while he wanted to assassinate Putin, the easier thing would be to assassinate Donald Trump.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.